management problems. That should take it right out.
Dude, I'm telling you. So you know what? There are actual studies done that show that people that listen to that type of stuff, first off, they say that metal music is the most relatable to classical because of how intricate the music actually is. But that we are more mentally balanced because that is how we get our aggression out. That's how we process emotion. That's how we, that's our outlet. That's our stuff. So that people that listen to that kind of stuff are less, have less mental health issues, are more balanced, have better work ethic, just because it gets you pumped up. It lets you process emotion. It makes you feel good. So
it does. Well, I go from one extreme to the other because when I say I like classic country, I like those really sad, slopping tear jerkers.
Oh, sure,
I want them. The more sad they are, the better they are, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. That's some classics, man. Yeah. I'll text you a few stuff to start building into your library there. There's a new band that is just, God, it's so good. I can't get enough of listening to it. It's a new band called Her Last. What is it? Oh shoot! Now caught me off guard. Now, Her Last Sight.
Oh wow! Okay.
And they're a band from Israel, actually, but they bring this old school, early 2000s metalcore. Like, do you know the band Killswitch Engage?
I do not know.
All right,
okay.
Killswitch Engage, As I Lay Dying, that stuff with Parkway Drive. They're early, like old school 2005, 2006 style. That's the kind of thing they bring, and it's so good. Gosh dang it, it's good.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff.
You're gonna think my heavy metal's pretty weak because I like 9 Inch Nails, Head Like a Hole, and I think that's angry, and it's nothing compared to what you do.
No, hey, you know what? There's a place for that as well. I enjoy some 9 Inch Nails. That's on the calmer end for sure, but it's still some metal. I like it. All right, everybody on the video stream listening to us. Yeah, we went down the road of music, and yes, you got a little taste of my music there, so you'll enjoy that. May have to play a little bit more of that at some point, but we got a lot to get to today. Jose Malia will be on the program. He's the former White House and State Department staffer, former campaign manager for Senator Marco Rubio then, and part of the Libre Initiative. We're going to talk about the Shield of the Americas, the vote of the Hispanic population, and so much more with the America First agenda. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing.
Begins in 10 seconds. Your SRN program will begin in 5, 4.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, in the Hooser Media Network studios, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. Here we are. Welcome aboard. Great to have you along for the weekend edition of the Voice of Reason. As always, we love having you. There's plenty to talk about this weekend from this past week. Holy cow, man. It is always like we're just desperate to try and keep up with the momentum of this Trump administration. A lot of things happening, some of it for the good, some of it worth a lot of conversation for sure. Where are we at? As we do a weekend review, we recap all the shenanigans and, of course, get you set for another one. The final full week of the month of March. Can we believe that we are almost done with quarter number 1? That's kind of crazy to me. First and foremost, as usual, welcome aboard. It is the Voice of Reason. My name's Andy Hooser. We are broadcasting right here in the Hooser Media Network studios based out of Wichita, Kansas, but all over the great country with so many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
We'll do it live!
Like we do every single weekend here on the program. Got a great guest for you lined up. Bottom of the hour, Jose Malia will be on the program. If you do not know who that is, he's with the Libre Initiative. He's also a former staffer with the White House and with the State Department, and he is the former campaign manager for then Senator Marco Rubio. So looking forward to chatting with him. We're going to talk about the Hispanic vote. We'll chat about the Shield of the Americas, the ongoing battle for the ridding of and the purging of the cartels, organized crime, and communism within our hemisphere. Could we see Cuba collapse? There was a teasing that we could potentially see Cuba do something this weekend. I have not seen anything as of yet. If we hear anything, we'll keep you apprised. But apparently Cuba could be falling, or we could be making a move on Cuba at some point soon. Of course, Democrats will get very angry with that because they always do. And when Donald Trump makes any statement, then they, of course, turn to the rhetoric of, "We're all
gonna die because of you!"
Yeah, because they like their communism. And could you imagine the social experiment that they've tried to use as their example of why communism is so great and why we need to implement their healthcare system and their system of governance in the United States while they walk around with their Che Guevara T-shirts? That one's going to collapse. And they're going to be now, apparently, allegedly, according to the Trump administration, part of the United States. So we'll cover some of that at the bottom of the hour with Jose Malia on the program. A lot happening this weekend, though, so I don't want to waste any time. And first, I want to preface this. I try to do things a little bit different on this show than what other programs do. And one of the things that bugs the heck out of me is of someone who has been in talk radio for a long time, but prior to that, listened as an aficionado of talk radio growing up all the way through high school and before I got into radio myself, was regurgitating the same talking points, hearing the same content day in and day out over and over and over again. And unfortunately, there's a lot of hosts that still continue to do that. We try not to. There's a lot of news that's been kind of the same throughout the week, shutting down with the Department of Homeland Security, the filibuster that's still, by the way, this weekend ongoing in the Senate for the SAVE Act, Iranian issues. That's really the same topics, but there's some new information that's popped up this weekend that I think is worth mentioning. So we'll try and go through it with a little bit more of a unique perspective compared to what you may have heard throughout the week as well. We go to our...
It's your week in review.
Yeah, that's right. Headline from Fox News. I flipped on the news cycle this morning on Saturday, trying to flip to and figure out what the heck's going on and what the breaking news is. And right out of the gate, man, Fox News had a bombshell of a report.
This morning, President Trump said he'd be putting ICE agents at airports for security. That is, of course, if, big if, Democrats don't come to some sort of a funding agreement for DHS. Now, this is wait times and frustrations are growing at airports all across the country as the DHS shutdown rages on. It has been a real mess.
Okay, so as you know, we're coming out of the spring break week, which has been a disaster. It's the first week where TSA workers have not received a paycheck. Not sure why we needed to shut down TSA and Department of Homeland Security. Oh, that's right, because Democrats are terrified about voter ID laws in the nation, even though they say that it wouldn't change anything because everybody already shows an ID and there's no cases of fraud whatsoever, which is a really silly argument to make when there's no studies to actually prove that one way or the other. So they use that based on the default of, oh, there's nothing going on. These aren't the droids you're looking for, right? That's the argument that they use. And so they're fighting an issue that they say is a non-issue but won't concede on the issue, which is stalling in the Senate. It doesn't make sense. Welcome to politics. It's going into a midterm season when everything's about campaign politics and the platform of what they believe in. Nonetheless, because of this now, we have over a week of a government shutdown. We have the attempted reforms, and I say reforms very loosey-goosey in air quotes for our radio listeners, on the reforms of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And because of that, they're unwilling to just, even though ICE has been funded for the next 3 to 4 years, doesn't really matter to them, that they say we're going to stop funding for DHS until we reform ICE, a.k.a. abolish ICE, which is never going to happen. Well, it's all about political leverage. And for those that may not pay attention to a lot of politics all the time, but just kind of tune in, tune out, just kind of get the headlines of what's going on, I want to break this down for you for just a moment, because especially during an election year, everything that's done is about political leverage and is about the campaign trail, what they're going to talk about on the campaign trail. Right now, Democrats feel that they have the ability to keep government shut down because they want the pressure on the American people to try and promote their agenda. If you've noticed, this has been going on for a month, and the media hasn't covered it until now. During spring break, more people flying, and now the first paycheck of TSA workers actually not going out. Now the media is paying attention to it. Now the Democrats are getting what they want because they're actually getting the pressure they've been looking for, and they just had to ride it out for the past week. And now they can start talking about how bad Donald Trump is, and they're hoping that as people get frustrated and angry at the airports and angry with TSA, that they can direct that emotional anger and response to the Trump administration to say that Donald Trump is refusing to work with Democrats a.k.a. compromise, which in their eyes compromises do our bidding and everything we want to do, or else you're not working alongside with us. That's the way Democrats' minds works, and it's about political leverage. They have the leverage because we conceded it. As Republicans, we conceded that power. We allowed them to split DHS funding away from the rest of the appropriations process, and now we're in this position. And we have to get that leverage back. While we may have done that with what headlines have happened this weekend with President Donald Trump.
What's trending today?
As according to his latest Truth Social post, he said, here we are. If the radical left Democrats do not immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe, meaning funding TSA and DHS, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before, including the immediate arrest of illegal immigrants who have come to our country, with heavy emphasis on those from Somalia who have totally destroyed, with the approval of a corrupt governor, attorney general, and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the once great state of Minnesota. I look forward to seeing ICE in the action at our airports. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. I've never heard of ICE actually going and being security agents at TSA. They do fall under the same umbrella as the Department of Homeland Security, and if that's what we're going to do, it double whammies the Democrats of what they're trying to go after. And I think it's a brilliant move. Now, whether it would actually happen or not, I don't really know, but it's a brilliant move because right now the Democrats, the only leverage they have, again, is to put pressure on you, the American people. Make the lines really long at TSA, try to get you really angry enough to where you become an activist, hopefully hate Donald Trump because of the move, and support Democrats to get into office. That is the ultimate agenda because there's no other changes. We're not abolishing ICE, and ICE has been funded for 4 years. So for the reforms, for the abolishment, for the defunding of, it's not happening. TSA and FEMA would run out of money before ICE does because ICE has already been appropriated a buttload of money. So it's not about that. It's about trying to get you emotionally angry and then hopefully directing that anger at Republicans and Donald Trump. If you take that anger away, then there's no leverage. There's no reason for them to continue it on, which is why when it failed in October and November last year, they came back and conceded, opened up the government after the longest government shutdown in American history because they didn't get what they wanted to and people weren't directing the anger at the place they were hoping that it was going to be misplaced at, which was Donald Trump and the Republicans. Right now, Donald Trump can potentially kill two birds with one stone. He's going to reopen things up at the airports by letting ICE agents be the TSA agents. That'll get things going at the airport. And he's utilizing the agency that Democrats are hating on in the first place. I say that's kind of a brilliant move. At the same time, we've seen another tweet this weekend from Elon Musk that is now openly admitted, now whether he does it or not is up in the air, but has openly said that he's willing to temporarily fund TSA agents in the sum of 16,000 TSA agents and pay out of his own money their paychecks until the government gets opened up. Again, taking the leverage away for the Democrats. It's all about political leverage. It's all about a political game. And if you pay attention to elections or politics at all, that's all they have is for a political purpose to try and say it. So that's where we're at now this weekend. And the Democrats are in a bit of a turmoil. They don't know what to do, which is why, according to Fox News right now, Senator Chuck Schumer, the guy that, puts pieces of cheese on raw burger patties while he's trying to grill, saying, I'm just like you. We realize that he doesn't have a whole lot of leverage any longer, and now they're trying to play the blame game of saying that we're the ones trying to fund DHS outside of ICE. We're the ones trying to put up bills that are specifically funding TSA agents to get them back in the game. And that's not true. We tried to put that on the floor. They shut it down completely. According to Schumer on the Senate floor yesterday on Friday, he said it is unacceptable for workers and travelers and entire airports to get taken hostage in political games. Hence the narcissism here. Look in the mirror, bro. That's where he's at. But that's what the Republicans are doing. It's unacceptable to say that we will only pay TSA workers if it is attached to a bill that funds ICE with no reforms, but that's what the Republicans have been doing. That's not true because, as you know, we have been looking at a lot of different negotiations and compromises and ways that we can try to reform ICE, putting the body cameras on and changing their uniforms, trying to remove the masks, whatever that they've demanded. We've given them alternatives to that, and they've shot it down left and right. So I'm not quite sure where they say that, but again, go back to the original message. If you understand the deeper meaning of it, it's all about political games. But imagine, if you will, Donald Trump putting ICE agents at TSA positions, which is going to really upset Democrats, and then Elon Musk paying for TSA agents. What more can Democrats use as leverage? Because all they have to do is say, there was even a proposal, according to Senator Moreno from the state of Ohio on Friday as well, during the filibuster that is, by the way, still going on, and we may go live to that throughout the program today on the SAVE Act, where they are discussing DHS funding as well. Senator Moreno proposed that we do a 2-week extension on everything, including ICE, by the way, but specifically TSA, get the Department of Homeland Security back open again, get everything running, and then we can reform ICE and continue to talk about the discussions on negotiations of ICE and just do a 2-week extension, especially during the spring break season. Democrats shut it down. Didn't even want to look at it. Had zero interest in it whatsoever. So you know who's playing the games here. And you know us here on this program, we're about common sense and reason. I don't want people suffering, but unfortunately, you're the only leverage that politicians have, and they're going to play to that. And right now, just as the shutdown happened back in October and November, it's not going to bode well for the Democrats on this one either. And they're trying, especially Chuck Schumer, who is being threatened to be removed from his seat with a challenge by AOC in his district in the Senate race at 28, or a presidential run by AOC. See how well that one works out for you. That they are looking at everything they can to show that they have some type of leverage. And the only power and leverage they have, since they're in the minority, is to try and cause panic and chaos in society. But we're working on options. We're working on alternatives. And not only is it going to help out with the SAVE Act, or with the Department of Homeland Security, but it will help the SAVE Act in that conversation as well. So when we come back, I know we got to take a break in a second here. We'll play some of that, where we're at with the filibuster happening this weekend. And could we see the winding down of the operations in Iran? A little bit different story from what we've heard in the mainstream media there as well. Crazy things happening this weekend. So make sure to stay tuned. Find us on our website, HooserReason.com. We got lots more to get to for your weekend edition of The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back.
Not a bad start.
Outdated
That was a good start, I think.
delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs
By the way, you should tell that beef jerky guy I'm homeless and in desperate need of food.
makes possible.
Son of a
I'm
gun.
just kidding.
Country.
No, I'm glad
American
you
dream. And with our innovation,
mentioned it.
we can lead the 21st century.
I'll let you know whenever it happens, but
Choice.
Well,
I'm in
getting-
no hurry. I'm just being silly.
No, I'm
Or
getting
risk
frustrated
falling
with him because he
Tell
hasn't.
Congress, pass permitting
right.
reform.
I'm not sure how
now.
much longer he'll be on it with us anyways. So.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of
Oh, I'm sad to hear that.
yeah,
Bull
we'll get it
seems
going.
more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did two guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
It's your Patriot on the prairie. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into the program. Great to have you here for your weekend edition of the show. As always, if you want to find more information, you can find us on our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. By the way, we have reorganized our website a little bit, have some new tabs, some new features on there. If you go to HooserReason.com, first it'll still ask you to become a Hoosier-holic, and you say, yeah. Totally free. Put in your email. You'll get your newsletter at the first of every month, the first Monday of every month. It will be sent out with our new blog on there, new partnerships, new affiliates, new stuff that we have going on. A lot of really cool stuff, totally free. And you want to be the Hoosier-holic, you say, yeah, absolutely. At the top, you can find the show. We have our live video stream, our live audio stream, our links to our podcast, and we also have on there all of our great radio affiliate lists, which you can see all those and so much more. Plus, download the bingo card, your 2026 political bingo card for the Voice of Reason. That is still on there. It's on the home screen, and it is a PDF version. You can download it, print it off, put it on your refrigerator, and you can follow along with our guesstimation of all the craziness that may happen in 2026 with the political world. And yeah, it's going to be fun to kind of watch and see how much of that unfolds. I think we've already knocked a few of those off. So I don't know if we have a bingo yet, but we might have a few of those notches on there. So go to HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. Check it out and download that today. The SAVE Act, the filibuster, DHS funding. John Fetterman continues to be the only rational Democrat out there.
I've made me the only Democrat that refused to shutting our DHS down. You know, some people might say that that doesn't mean I have any less commitment to reform ICE. That's just categorically not true. But it's a strange devotion. I don't understand why you would shut the entire agency down just because you want those kind of reforms on ICE that has absolutely no impact on ICE and doesn't force any of those things.
Yeah, it's a great point. So he's still, out of all the craziness that goes on, he's still the most rational one out there. I want for just a few minutes here to shift gears to some of our foreign policy, and we're going to talk with Jose Malia about that at the bottom of the hour, mostly in our hemisphere with Cuba, with Venezuela, these organized crimes, cartels. But over in Iran, obviously, has been the controversial, how long will this conflict actually go on? And I have to applaud the Trump administration for being the ones that have really been probably the most transparent administration in a very long time on military conflicts because of the fact that people don't want to be involved in foreign wars. And one of the most telling signs that we're on the right track has been, number one, the polls that even CNN reports that shows 100% of MAGA Republicans still support the Trump administration and some of the efforts they're doing, which has been great. But also people like Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard spoke this week in a congressional hearing, giving a report as the director of national intelligence on what Iran's doing, and sent out a message on social media saying that not condemning the acts whatsoever of Donald Trump, but just saying here's the information. He deemed it as a threat, and that's why he's doing the operation that he's doing. And remember, she's the one that left the Democrat Party because she called them warmongers. and said that they are just as much as part of the military-industrial complex as Republicans were back in the day, and Donald Trump has changed the Republican Party to not be a warmonger party and to not work at the military-industrial complex and to not start endless wars, and she's still on board with him, and that should be a telling sign. Well, we got a tweet this weekend from Donald Trump, the latest tweet attack, saying we are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran. Number 1, completely degrading Iranian missile capability, launchers, and everything else pertaining to them. 2, destroying Iran's defense industrial base. And 3, eliminating their Navy and Air Force, including anti-aircraft weaponry. 4, never allowing Iran to get even close to a nuclear capability and always being a position where the USA can quickly and powerfully react to such a situation should it take place. And 5, protecting at the highest level our Middle Eastern allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and so on and so forth. It sounds like, as Donald Trump hints, we might be winding things down. And whether we do or not, time will tell. The biggest sign that should raise for the red flags, though, is I thought Israel was telling us to have boots on the ground, which they are. Donald Trump sounds like he's about ready to be done. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
Andy's latest product.
Hi, it's your Voice of Reason product spokesperson. And if you're like the average progressive socialist in America, the celebration of the end of the Donald Trump presidency is ongoing. The problem is that Joe Biden may not have been the candidate for you to get the things done you wanted to get done.
I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years and that I'm going to beat Joe Biden.
But now I'm here to say, don't worry. Your concerns about a dementia-ridden racist elite are just minutes away from disappearing with our all-new Voice of Reason product. Now introducing the Voice of Reason's Biden Basement Starter Pack. Now, just 1 year into the Biden administration is the perfect time to get your Biden Basement Starter Pack and finally begin to understand the mind of such an unrecognized genius.
The Biden Basement Starter Pack includes your Joe Biden decoder ring.
Now you can truly understand the secret messages that Joe Biden was really sending to his supporters when other people thought it was just gibberish.
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-point-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air.
Your progressive white supremacy exemption card.
Let's be honest, you're just as much of a racist white supremacist as the evil conservatives that you hate, but with your white supremacy exemption card, you're completely immune from the transparency and accountability of racial comments or thoughts that you may have, giving you more time to focus on destroying Republicans for the evil, closed-minded bigots that you know that they are.
What you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Your brand new crisp but $100 bill.
If Nazi Republicans won't let you pass universal basic income, or as we like to call it, child tax credits, the next best thing is a newly printed bill with absolutely zero value. Show it to your right-wing friends and remind them that you're entitled to that cash just for existing. Plus, when the economy you create is so good that everything doubles in price from inflation, you'll be prepared.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole.
out of $1,600,000,000,000 worth, $1,400,000,000,000 worth, out of $1,400,000,000. It's hard to even say it, it's so much. And by the way, it costs a lot of money. It costs about $740 billion over 10 years.
By the way, you said you wanted to
also
try some
enjoy
of
your
the
crime immunity
pickle
card.
beef jerky,
Sure,
didn't you?
crime rates and hate crime.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right.
All over the
I just
place.
had one of my
But
listeners.
now with
he,
your crime immunity
ordered
card,
some a little
you'll be
while ago. He
completely
said he
protected
got
from
it,
criminals
and,
taking advantage of the loosening
that was
liberal
probably some
crime
of the
laws.
best
Just show your
deal,
crime
which I'm not a
immunity
big
card
deal
to
guy. I
any
don't know
criminal
what
that you may
the
come across
fascination is,
and
but
let
he
them
loved
know
it,
that you
so.
support their
Okay. All right.
justices in society.
I can understand.
For protection, when
yeah,
you
I'll
have
get
your
you some
crime
of that. You'll,
immunity card.
If you like Dale, then you'll definitely like
It's
it.
all included in your Biden basement starter pack.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be good on beef jerky or not, but I like a good dill pickle.
Well,
Order
that is
now and get the
true. He
latest
sells
item that's now
actually, too, the
included in
dill
your Biden
seasoning
basement
that he
starter
actually
pack.
uses with
Now
the
introducing your
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty cool. It's cool to watch him make all this
freshly
stuff.
minted from the Department of Health and Human Services.
I'd like to see that.
Will
Yeah,
help
the
rid
process
all
is kinda
your
neat.
injustices in your life and raise your government valued equity. It's the perfect way to forget all about the worries and gaffes of the Biden administration and continue to be that leading example of leadership in the progressive movement. And now you can get your Biden crack pipe in multiple different styles and colors. And for a limited time only, when you purchase your Biden Basement Starter Pack with your new Biden crack pipe, you can get your own personalized handwritten letter with tips and tricks on the best way to use your crack pipe directly from the aficionado himself, Hunter Biden.
Say what?
It's 4 incredible products, your Biden crack pipe and your personalized Hunter Biden letter, all for one great low price. Take your support for the Democrat Party and the Biden administration to another level with the Voice of Reason's Biden Basement Starter Pack. Low promotional price does not include inflational adjustments. Your Biden Basement Starter Pack may be delayed in shipping due to supply chain issues caused by successful Biden economic policy and current COVID-19
Find
mandates.
more products from the Voice of Reason online at HooserReason.com.
Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hoosier Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HoosierReason.com. Again, that's HoosierReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to it. It is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, moving through your weekend edition of the program. Plenty of things happening this past week, including more updates with could we see the collapse of the nation of Cuba, and could we be consuming them as part of the United States, or at least bringing a little bit more capitalism and a better partnership with them moving forward. That is with the ongoing push with the Shield of the Americas, trying to get rid of and eradicate the organized crime, the shadow government in our own hemisphere, and even getting rid of those big government ideologies. I can't wait to talk with our next guest on the program as we go to our...
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
Dang straight. He is the former White House and former State Department official. He's also with the Libre Initiative, and he's the former campaign manager for then Senator Marco Rubio, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Really happy to have on the program Mr. Jose Malia. Jose, how are you, my friend?
It's great to be on, Andy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, you bet. Appreciate you jumping on here. Plenty of things to talk about, especially in our own hemisphere, which is where I want to start here. I kind of laughed when we saw the ending of Kristi Noem with the Department of Homeland Security. Now she's heading up some of the security details for a larger hemisphere with the Shield of Americas. We hear about Cuba collapsing, communism that's about ready to be toppled right now. Are we on the brink of actually eradicating communism within our hemisphere?
Look, Andy, truly the only leader that could have pulled this off is President Trump. Obviously, with the assistance of his amazing cabinet, the Vice President, Secretary Rubio, Defense Secretary Hegseth, because it requires a certain level of courage and conviction to do this. And they made it very clear in the National Security Strategy announcement last year that he was not to be toyed with, right? That he was taking these narco cartel criminal organizations very seriously. And so what you saw in the Shield of the Americas is for the first time an alignment of like-minded countries, right? It's very clear the people who were there are friends of the United States. The ones who were not, I wouldn't necessarily say they're adversaries, but they're definitely not aligned on the strategy, and they could benefit from aligning like the countries that were there. But it's a group that has committed to fight narco-terrorism, which is at the root of a lot of these socialist movements, or at the core of these socialist movements, like we saw in Venezuela, like we're seeing in Nicaragua, and like we've seen in Cuba.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously working with Senator Marco Rubio at the time, and now him being the head of the State Department as Secretary of State, which, by the way, I think Donald Trump's right, probably one of the best Secretary of States that we've had in a very long time for the nation. Was this a big priority for now Secretary Rubio when he came into the administration, wanting to address this issue, wanting to deal with these issues in the hemisphere, get rid of communism, and help out some of these Hispanic nations in Central and South America? How much do you think that he was involved in actually creating this idea?
You know, it lives at the State Department, and its National Security Advisory had a lot to do with it. But I truly believe that at the end of the day, you know, because the Secretary of State's job is to execute the president's agenda, the president's strategy, the president's vision. Now, they do have a role in advising, like so many other cabinet members do, but it's ultimately the president's decision. And it is President Trump who has said that this is a critical priority for the United States, for our long-term growth, success. I mean, he was president, 8 years before, right? So he got to see what the challenges are in the region, what the dangers are of these organizations. So I think coming back, he had a very clear vision as to what he wanted to do. And it's really creating a regional dominance for the United States in a region where we have people who really value the values or really love the values that America represents, right? And that's something that's very unique, unlike the challenges that Europe is facing today with its migration crisis and other challenges that they're having, and some cultural differences with the people who are coming in, et cetera. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we're very much aligned. So if we can get rid of these cancers like communism, socialism, narco-terrorism, and we could create synergies with these countries that focus on energy production, on rare earth minerals, on manufacturing, suddenly we create a boom for the entire region. And at the end of the day, that does put America first, which is at the core of President Trump's strategy.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty incredible. And again, I mean, with the political capital that President Trump has, no one else would have been able to do what he's done on this so far. And obviously the politics is the politics. People are going to get angry, and whether he should have done it, whether he was allowed to do it, so on and so forth. But I find it hilarious, Jose, where we see the politics being played here in the U.S. on what's best for these nations when, for example, Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, we do that operation and the people cheer, not just in Venezuela, but around the world. And we're seeing the same thing in Iran right now. If Cuba falls with the communism, we're going to see, I'm assuming, the same kind of mindset with people celebrating in the streets with the end of communism there. It's like the people that are directly involved are so excited about this, while we have people in the United States that are throwing a fit about it.
Yeah, and this is where you see this dynamic where you have these young college students or these, folks who have grown up with a life of privilege here in America talking about how they love socialism. They have no idea what that is. They've never lived it. Go to Havana, and don't just go to Havana to be a tourist and to take advantage of the food. Go to Venezuela and visit some of those communities and see the suffering that people have. Otherwise, why would 8 million Venezuelans flee Venezuela in the last 10 years, right? Yeah. This is a country that was one of the most prosperous countries in the region. It's a beautiful country with all sorts of resources. People love their country, and they scattered all over the world, not just to the U.S. They went everywhere because they could not live under that repressive regime that also created mass hunger and mass misery. And if you want to see what that's about, look at Cuba. Right? Anyone who ever has a relative that visited Cuba, they tell you how amazing it was in the 50s. And so on. And then now it is a disaster. I mean, Cuba has so many problems that I think the Cuban people are desperate for freedom. And so the minute that something happens and changes, you are going to see probably the most pro-American population that you could find outside of the United States. And truly, they can speak firsthand as to why communism and socialism is an awful idea.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the big question then, Jose. How many T-shirts and how big of a surge in popularity will the Che Guevara shirts go for college kids with them protesting the collapse of communism in Cuba?
And that's the thing, too. The people that wear those shirts have no clue what they're wearing. Right? Yeah. The guy was a murderer. Right? The guy was a mass murderer. He was a criminal. And he was hunted down by the U.S. and paid a dear price for the terrible work that he was doing across the region. But he did tremendous damage in those years that we are dealing with now. Right. And that legacy that the Castro regime and Che Guevara and these people are going to leave behind is a legacy of misery. Has been sensationalized, unfortunately, by folks in Hollywood and other academics and all these other characters who wear those T-shirts, but they have no idea what they're talking about most of the time because they've never lived it.
No.
That was something that I remember Secretary Rubio used to say when he was on the campaign trail back in 2010. He would say, I didn't read about socialism in a book. I didn't read about it because I saw an article or I saw a documentary. I learned about it because I lived it from my family, my friends, my neighbors, people in my community told me about the difficulties, the horrors, and all the things that they went through. And when you have that kind of experience in life, you can speak confidently like he does when he talks about these cartels and these terrible regimes, because he knows it, right? He's a part of this community here in South Florida. He's lived it himself, surrounded by folks who were affected by all these governments, and not just Cuba, but Venezuela, Nicaragua, all sorts of other, regimes that have created chaos.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're talking with Jose Malia. He's a former White House and State Department official and with the Libre Initiative. So let's talk about organized crime in Central and South America. Obviously, Mexico right now going through a almost semi-civil war after the killing of the head of one of the cartels there. They were not, at least not showing up to the Shield of the Americas meeting in Miami earlier, but that's probably because the large majority of their officials right now are probably paid off by some fashion by one of the cartels. How do we deal with this issue now? Now that we're starting to organize with some of these nations in the region, how do we go about it? And are you optimistic that we could see the eradication of organized crime and cartels in South and Central America?
Well, look, I think it's a great start. I think it's a great first step in bringing about more coordination, more trust, an alliance that we have to have, and it has to be real. I think President Trump has made it clear he doesn't care about alliances or international organizations that are window dressing or that are places where people can go and give long speeches but then do nothing. He wants action, and that's why he created the Shield of the Americas, and that's why they signed the Doral Charter. He wants action, and so all of these countries are partnered with the U.S. across the region. Now, I actually wish there were more, because there are still countries that weren't there, as small as Belize, for example, who have problems in their countries, right? And it could be cartel influence that seeps over from Mexico, but it's also a lack of rule of law, right? You have broken judicial systems. You have, folks who have high influence that were in government, currently in government, involved in business dealings, and Americans are getting hurt, right? And that is the kind of lawlessness that then leads to organized crime stepping in, or potentially our adversaries, the PRC and other folks trying to invest in those countries, which we saw in the past couple of decades. And that is the kind of danger, whether it's a Belize or a Brazil or a Mexico or Colombia and all these other countries that weren't there, which have to take this very seriously. And so I think President Trump, one thing that he's proven in the last year and 4 or 5 weeks, what he says he's going to do, he does.
Right.
And even sometimes people laugh. They think it's a joke. They're like, oh, he's not serious about that. He is incredibly serious. So take him at his word. He has put this coalition together. It is intended to not just fight crime, but it's also intended to fight corruption. And they're not going to stop, right? At least for the next 3 years of this administration. And hopefully the future administration that comes in after him, we're going to see a clear-eyed determination to change the course of this hemisphere and to improve the lives of everyone, which I think in the end lifts everyone up and benefits the United States greatly.
Yeah, for sure. The America First agenda. And while some are angry that we're dealing with foreign policy does directly impact the United States, especially in our hemisphere when we have drug trafficking, human trafficking, and cartels that are working their way up the border, which Donald Trump has been able to stop with the closing of the southern border. We're hanging out with Jose Malia. Hang on the line. Got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about domestically what's going on here, the vote of the Hispanic population, and so much more for your weekend edition of The Voice of Reason. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
For more information, go to takeonesmallstep.com. Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all the social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
where Hoosier-holics gather every week. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, it is. Welcome back into it. We got a few minutes left here for this hour as we wrap things up for the hour here on the program. Really great conversation we're having right now with Jose Malia. He's the former White House and former State Department official. He's with the Libre Initiative, and he's former campaign manager for then Senator Marco Rubio in the state of Florida. Jose, let's bring it to the domestic front here. In the last presidential election, we saw a major shift in votes from the Hispanic population themselves, dramatically going to the Republican side, dramatically supporting Donald Trump. In fact, we saw a major shift right on the border, especially with Hispanics in predominantly Hispanic counties in the state of Texas and beyond. But now we're starting to see a midterm election. Obviously, midterm elections go towards a minority party, so Democrats getting some momentum going into this race. We'll see how that pans out in November. But with the hysteria that we're hearing from the mainstream media with ICE and deportations and all the issues going on in the nation right now, are we still seeing the momentum of Hispanics going towards Republicans, or what do you think the state of affairs are for the voter mindset of Hispanics across the nation?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned it earlier. I was formerly CEO of the Libre Initiative, and I've been involved in Hispanic politics for most of my career, being in Miami, where it's predominantly Hispanic, but also nationally with Libre and other efforts. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, Hispanics, what they care about is opportunity, right? Whether they're registered Republican, Democrat, Independent, those labels have some impact on them. But we saw this in Texas. We saw this in the Midwest. We saw this in other communities where Hispanics have created roots and are part of the fiber of those communities, and now they're citizens and voting. They care about opportunity. They care about freedom. So if a candidate like President Trump is able to persuade them, because he was talking about changing the course of the country, of the economy, changing the war on energy that was taking place where a lot of Hispanic workers were being affected, creating more opportunity for education, more school choice, more freedom in education, which Hispanics are for. All those issues align with them. What ends up happening is that you have these folks who take advantage of these crises and create this divisive rhetoric. And unfortunately, I think some of the ICE raids, some of the visuals of that stuff allowed these voices to come back and be loud again, right? They had been dampened down during the 24 cycle. Now they come back. And those voices are creating a wedge, and they're creating some negative sentiment. But what I will say is this, and what I encourage friends who are running for office across the country, whether it's in Congress, the Senate, whatever, engage. Because the minute you show up in these communities and you engage with them and you show them who you are and you care about them and you genuinely show them a path to prosperity in America with the ideas of freedom and more opportunity and less government intervention, they're gonna vote for you. So I don't write off the fact that Hispanics have moved. Obviously, what you said is true. There's a natural national trend against the incumbent party, and we see that almost every cycle, right? Unless there's some major event. So we're probably going to get some of that tendency that's natural. But I don't think it's going to be this tidal wave of Hispanics that were for Trump that are now going to be against his agenda or against Republicans. It's all about the candidate. Now, President Trump himself is not on the ballot, and that does create a different dynamic. That's why I think it's all up to these individual candidates. Regardless of the noise or regardless of these national polls, these individual candidates have to go into their communities and engage. And if they do, I'm confident that if their ideas are better and if they align with their values of, pro-family, pro-growth, pro-small business, pro-educational choice, pro-security, right? Like if you poll Hispanics before all of this happened, they were probably at the top of the list. And I know this because we saw polling for border security. Right. Why? Because it were their communities and their children that were being put at risk by this mass wave of migration and this lawlessness that was going on.
Yeah.
No. And that's you got to remind them of that.
Yeah. No, we do. We have to remind them of that. And that's my last question for you in about the minute that we have left here is, are we doing better at that? For the longest time, we have not even reached out to many of the Hispanic populations around the country. We just kind of wrote it off as, they're Democrat, they're not going to vote for Republicans. Living in Wichita here, we finally started reaching out, and we got massive response on that issue. Our conservatives, our Republicans, under Trump especially, doing a better job at that outreach.
I think Wichita used to have a Hispanic mayor, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, many years ago. And I remember meeting him and hearing his story. I believe he was Cuban as well, had a little bit of an accent, but he embodied the American dream. He embodied the American journey. He embodied what people drive, push so hard to make this country because of our exceptionalism, why they come here. And the ones that accept that and want to be a part of it, those are the ones that you need to get to, right? So I think the Republican Party needs to continue to do that. But I challenge the candidates individually, because even if President Trump does it, and he's always, when he came to Miami, goes to El Paso, he's very good with people, right? So he has that deep connection himself. You can't just rely on him. You got to do it yourself. You got to go out there and fend for yourself and get into the community, build those relationships, build that trust. But again, you have the better ideas. There's no need to pander. The minute you make that engagement, you're probably going to win them over.
That's what it's about, my friend. Jose, we're out of time. We got to get you back on the show again real soon, brother.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Jose Maleo, we appreciate his time very much. We'll get him back on the show again soon. Until then, we are out of time. We'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy.
There goes that hour.
Every day, the battle for me against limited government.
Right into the living room.
Factual content is
like
far from
that, my
over.
friend.
That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser
Right
Media
into the
Network
living
is
room.
giving you more opportunity, and along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast, become your own voice of reason, and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you. Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right, there we go. Where'd you say you were going after this? Go to see a baseball game?
Mavericks game, basketball.
Mavericks. Oh, basketball, Mavericks. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
You can see how much I pay attention to sports. But did you fill out what was it, a March Madness bracket?
I did not.
Okay.
I don't. My sports love is very, very weird. I mean, I love basketball, but because I've never attended to college, or I don't really pay attention to colleges, I don't even have a college to root for.
Interesting.
And if I do watch March Madness, I'll always go for the one that's the underdog.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
I do like it though. I mean, one thing, and there was one time I went to Oklahoma to go see a Mavs game, and that's kind of weird because everybody's cheering for Oklahoma and not the Mavs. And I was like, oh, I'm the odd man out.
Well, you got
the other thing I'll do is I'm a big fan of the three-pointer. I think that is such a kick-ass shot. And the opposite team will do it, and I'll cheer. I'm like, oh, you can't do that.
You can't do that. That's awesome. Yeah, I always like the underdog story too. I've never been a basketball fan though. I've just never gotten into it. I just have a hard time. I fill out my bracket, but I don't do a whole lot with basketball.
I don't know, like, and it's just me, but football and baseball move so slow, it's hard to keep my attention, and basketball is the one that moves the fastest.
Yeah, that's the thing. I get wore out just watching back and forth, man. The fact that you got to
I can
run back
understand
and forth
that.
across that court so many times, dude, you're wearing me out just watching you.
I understand that. I couldn't do it myself.
Nope. Oh, man. It's all right. We got UFC Family Fight Night tonight.
Oh.
That's right.
You know if Trump's going?
I don't know. Probably not this one. It's not a very big ticket this weekend.
Oh, okay. And he probably won't go.
No, but it's still fun.
It's funny whenever I see the fighters start doing the Trump dance in front of him. That is so funny.
John Jones.
Yes.
Epic doing that. That was fantastic. Oh, man. All right, what do we got this hour? Oh, we got... Okay, this will be a fun one. I'll call for you when you got to jump on, but we're going to go down a little bit different road, do something a little bit different this hour.
All right.
We'll see how it hits. I might upset some people with it.
Well, you do that every day with Facebook posts. That's nothing new.
Well, that is true. That is true. They get very worked up with my posts on
Yes,
social
they
media.
do.
Yeah.
Well, there's some of them. It's always kind of surprising because some of the posts you make, I'm like, boy, that's going to blow up, and it barely does anything.
I know it. I have no clue. The algorithm is so weird. Sometimes,
yes, it is.
I'll post some things, and I'm like, oh, let's see what kind of happens here, and it'll blow up, and then I'll be like, all right, this is going to really ruffle some feathers, and then nobody talks about it. So I still don't know what the algorithm looks like or how to really, hit that sweet spot.
Me either. It's weird.
That's very
even some of my posts, I'll sit there and go, that's not going to get more than 10 likes, and then it'll get like 50 or so. I'm like, what the heck? Where did that come from?
I know it. Yeah, but this one, I don't know. I gotta be careful how I do it. I don't want to come off as insensitive, but at the same time, we're not overly sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think that seems to be a younger generation thing, that they're very sensitive.
That's the thing. Like, I want to politely tell them to cowboy up and, get their crap together. But do it in a way to where they're just like, you're just attacking us. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I don't either.
We'll see how it goes.
All right.
All right. Oh, let's see. A couple minutes here. Oh, and then the bottom of the hour, the guest. You're going to lose your mind with what we talk about on that one.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
We're going to talk to a guy from the Goldwater Institute, and he reported a story on higher education and the DEI classes that are still in higher ed, and the classes that he uncovered at Arizona State. It's
interesting.
It is quite interesting. So you'll get a kick out of this one.
That's one thing I wonder if it's the parents or is it these schools that are teaching these kids to wear their feelings right on their shoulders like they do. Because I wasn't taught that.
Yeah. It's got to be a combo.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's got to be a combo of the parents that just
your SRN program begins in 60 seconds.
They just want to coddle them, and then
that's bad.
The teachers and society that just embraces it and reinforces it. It's got to be. Which is what we're just going to blow the lid off in this hour on. All right, everybody on the video stream, what's up? Getting some of the internal bantering here. Tim Manella will be on the program at the bottom of the hour. He's with the Goldwater Institute. He's the expert on higher education. We're going to talk DEI, colleges, higher ed, and more. Again, you're going to be shocked at what you hear with some of these classes that are happening at certain universities. For honor students, in order for you to graduate as an honors student, you have to take some of these classes. They are mandatory in these universities. And we're going to talk about it at the bottom of the hour. Plus, we have some other interesting stuff to get to. So let's have some fun. Let's do it.
10 seconds. Your SRN program will begin in 5, 4.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, in the Hooser Media Network studios, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. Great to have you here for another episode of your weekend edition of the Voice of Reason. As always, we love it as you're going out and about doing your thing, trying to survive the global warming. Did you expect the fact that we were going to see global warming and 90-plus degree weather across the Mid-America region, where I'm broadcasting out of here in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, Missouri? All of us were suffering, I'm telling you. It is like the surface of the sun, and it's only the end of the first quarter, so can you imagine what our summer's going to look like? I'm telling you, Donald Trump, this is the begging and the pleading of me on my knees to the Trump administration. please buy Greenland, because I will more than happily be your ambassador to the nation of Greenland.
It's your week in review.
No, that was the wrong one. Let's try that. There we go. All right. First and foremost, welcome into the show. It's great to have you as usual, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas at the Hooser Media Network studios. We are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates across the place doing our thing.
We'll do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the show. Tim Manella will be on the program at the bottom of the hour. He is with the Goldwater Institute. He is the expert on higher education. You are going to be baffled, like mind blown with how crazy that some of these conversations are that we're going to have with him. He has a new piece up with the Goldwater Institute about higher education, and not only higher education and DEI, but a honors class. In order for you to graduate as an honors student in particular universities, not going to mention them, Arizona State and others, that in order for you to graduate as an honors student, you are mandated to take particular DEI courses. What do they look like? It's going to blow your mind, so we'll do that at the bottom of the hour. If you want information on these shows and so much more, you can find our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. We have kind of a new layout of the show in the website, added a bunch of new features on there. You can go check those out with our website. Also, if you want the podcast, I have to thank you. Dave, we are rocking it on the podcast. Our podcast downloads already for the end of the first quarter of this year are already at 50% of the total downloads from 2025. All the downloads.
That is wonderful. I love that.
I know. All of the downloads that we had for the entire year last year, we've already at half of that, and we're not even through the first quarter. So, well done.
That's going to be awesome at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Keep rocking it.
That's it. That's it. So, and it's because of you, the listeners. So, thank you for that. And if you want the show, you can find our show 6 days a week, our weekday program, this one and more, by typing in the entire name of the show on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right, there are plenty of things to get to. We still have the live filibuster going on the U.S. Senate floor. We will get to that throughout the hour a little bit. I have covered a lot of that throughout the week. I don't want to touch on that too terribly much because there's not a lot of new information until we actually figure out what we're going to do with the next step after the filibuster and what that vote looks like. There's not a lot more to tell, but there's a few things I want to get to. And Dave, I'm telling you, this hour, we might get in trouble. We might just get in trouble this hour. So there's a few things.
We can ask for forgiveness. We're okay.
Well, I don't know. The other side, well, they already hate me anyway, so who cares? But there's first and foremost, I came across this audio, and it just showcases how out of touch the other side is with our What's Trending of the Week.
It's your week in review.
I'm going to play, and you may have heard it already. Governor Kathy Hochul from the state of New York sat down doing an interview with Politico this week and said something that, as a guy that likes to talk numbers, that likes to talk free market capitalism, that likes to talk about the invisible hand of Adam Smith and the idea of free markets, laissez-faire capitalism, it makes me want to have my head explode with how stupid this comment is. But it really showcases the major divide in society where when you talk about competition, you talk about free markets, the eyes of the other side, their eyes just gloss over. Like they don't even understand what you're talking about, because I don't think they were mentioned it and taught about it in school, in public education. And in fact, when they go to higher education, they told how bad that is because communism's the way to go, even though they don't know how to actually educate us on communism either. When I went to college, I went to Bowling Green State University in the state of Ohio, Bowling Green, Ohio, not Kentucky. We went there, and I didn't take it. One of my friends that was in the College Republicans with me took a class on economics. The professor, who was a self-proclaimed communist, removed the lesson on communism because she said it was too complicated to teach. So I don't know how you promote an idea that you can't even try to describe and explain and educate us on what it is, but they just removed it from the class altogether, which I found kind of interesting as they learn about the different economic structures in society. But it leads up to what Kathy Hochul mentioned. It was a sit-down interview with Politico this week, and she said this.
Facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay. Cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be
Okay, hold on. Before we go any further, I want to set the stage a little bit more. She is advocating for a major increase in the budget for the state of New York, obviously in tandem with the New York City and Zohan Mamdani that's already gone well above his budget. He's now saying that either rich people need to pay more of their fair share for social programs, or we're going to raise property taxes on everybody in New York City. That's making the average New York Citian not very happy about the increase in property because they wanted the free stuff. They thought they were voting in a socialist to get the free stuff and make the evil rich people pay their fair share. The rich people that aren't paying their fair share are leaving the state and leaving the city, and now they're left with the burden. And Zoran Mamdani, who's already proposed a citywide budget as the city of New York that's larger than the entire budget for the state of Florida alone, is now calling on rich people to pay more of their fair share. Kathy Hochul trying to compensate for that at the statewide level by saying that rich people, again, need to pay their fair share, and it's their patriotic duty to do so. And it's a horrendous thing for them, and un-American and unpatriotic for them, to leave the state of New York and move to places like Texas and Florida, which is the point she's trying to make.
Facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay. Cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, you know, Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking.
My brain hurts even trying to process this. So, by the way, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, has also made similar comments as well, where they just need more money, and how dare the tax base, the rich people, that are finally starting to admit that they're already overtaxing the quote-unquote rich people in the upper class more than they should be, and now they're mad that they're leaving. And she's come to almost a realization. She's so close. I'm the eternal optimist. I like to see that people are progressing in their thought pattern. You're almost there. You can lead the horse to the trough, but you can't make them eat or drink there. You're almost there. She mentioned it, that there's competition between states, which is a great reason why they hate the idea of federalism, with states having more power as opposed to the universal umbrella regulation for coming from the federal government telling every state they need to be the exact same. We have a concept of federalism. States, for the most part, should be able to and do get to regulate the majority of their own regulations, their own tax rates, their own rules, their own operation system, whatever they do at the state level, not at a federal level. We are a sovereign state within a United States of America, and she's starting to kind of sort of grasp that. But she's making the point that we need to bring those people back from Texas and bring the people back from Florida to come to New York, because it's patriotic for you to fund more of the social programs that we want to fund, because we have higher tax rates than they do. And how dare you leave for better economic opportunity for you and your business? How dare you do something like that? That's absolutely terrible.
We're all gonna die because of you!
So she's such on the brink that she's almost ready to recognize that there's competition between states, and therefore, in order to be competitive in a state, that you have to lower taxes. But she hasn't quite figured out the concept of laissez-faire private market capitalism. That if you lower tax rates and you deregulate, people come to you. It's kind of like the field of dreams, right? If you deregulate, they will come. If you de-tax, they will move to you. They will invest in your area. And when you have more people there, then you have a larger tax base. Everybody has a lower rate, and then you have a surplus of more people. It's called the Laffer curve. If you've never seen the Laffer curve, you can Google what the Laffer curve is, but it's the idea to find that happy medium rate on the best price and the best quality for the most amount of people in the private sector, and that's how you get the largest tax base out there. It's, economic theory, but it works, and it's been proven time and time again. And she's starting to figure that out. Hasn't quite come to the realization yet that you need to be competitive in your rates. She's just complaining at the moment because Democrats do very well playing the victimhood status, but at least she's starting to almost go down that road. So hang in there, buddy. You can do it. We're cheering for you, right?
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yay!
All right, let's shift gears here.
It's your week in review.
Dave, I'm going to get in trouble for this segment, but I saw this, and it's off the beaten path a little bit, but it goes into this victimhood status that she was just playing as the governor of New York. And I want to bring it up because I think there's a deeper, not just political, but we're not just about politics on the show. We're about culture. We're about ideology. We're about society in general, trying to help our average, community here. That there's a victimhood status that has been now festering in society for a really long time. And it's unfortunate. The reason I bring this up is because it's not just about some of the comments that are made by people on social media and podcasters and whatever, but it's more about people in institutions, and especially during a mental health crisis time that we live in, where mental health professionals, psychiatrists, therapists, and others are feeding into the delusion in society. Dave, jump on here for a minute. Are you familiar with the podcast called Surrounded?
I've heard of it. I've not heard it, though.
Okay, so Surrounded is a podcast where there's one person in the middle with a table, and then there's 20 people around them, and the one person makes a claim, and essentially it's 20 other people that get to try and get to the table and do a one-on-one debate with them for a certain amount of time on a particular issue. And it's a fascinating topic. It's a really great concept for a podcast. There was her name, which I don't know her. Apparently, she's really popular. Jillian Michaels. She does The Biggest Loser TV show to help people lose weight. She was on there talking about health and why having excess body fat is unhealthy for you, like physically unhealthy for you, surrounded by 20 people that are of their larger persuasion. And they were advocating and trying to make the case that no, being quote unquote fat is not unhealthy. And because it's an emotional choice that we choose to live in, and therefore you shouldn't, quote unquote, body shame us. And the reason I bring it up is not to fat shame, because I don't care, live your life, do your thing. That's not really the point here. But mental health experts, therapists, were on this podcast debating Jillian Michaels about health, saying that, first off, apparently obesity and being obese apparently is a bad word. Now you're not allowed to say the O word. What are we calling them? They're saying that we have to call them a particular name now.
I'm going to do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive. So I'm going to use fat-bodied as we talk. Okay. Do you understand why people find it harmful and triggering?
Dave,
no, I don't.
No, I don't. I really don't. We're not allowed to call someone fat or obese. We now have to say they're fat-bodied. Oh, yeah, there's a lot more. The reason I bring this up again, these are mental health experts helping people that are calling out for help in society, and I think there's a deeper problem that we need to address here. The Surrounded podcast and the culture battle that we're up against, because instead of helping someone stay healthy, we're worried about the name that's being labeled with them. We'll cover some of this when we come back. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world.
What she is saying seems backwards to me.
Powered the 20th.
I think I prefer the medical term of obese instead of being called fat-bodied.
But she openly admits, and we'll talk about when we come back, that she openly admits she's not a doctor. She's a therapist. So she doesn't want to offend or make
Washington's red tape is slowing us
hurt
down
her
while other nations
clients.
race ahead.
So she
It doesn't
uses
have to
these
be
terms
this
to make
way.
them feel better
We
about
can
their
clear the way
their
for energy that's
situation.
affordable, reliable, and built
It's a
right
whole
for
thing, man.
people.
It's weird.
That is weird. Okay.
It's felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier Holic family.
Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did two guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
It's America's political therapist. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Wow, wasn't that ironic? That's right. Therapying you on a weekend basis. Great to have you along here for the weekend edition of the Voice of Reason. So the mental health professionals in this nation, I think, need to have a serious reevaluation. And I'm not saying they're all of them, obviously, but we have a serious problem here. If people are crying out for help because they have an issue, do we embrace the issue to make them feel better about themselves, or do we try to help them get through it to be healthier? And the reason I bring this up, again, the podcast Surrounded, if you've never seen it, it's kind of an interesting one. Again, one person in the middle of a room with a table, there's 20 people around them, and then they, swarm and take turns trying to do a debate with this person that makes a claim that everybody else disagrees with. Well, Jillian Michaels, the star of The Biggest Loser, trying to help people lose weight to become, healthy to where they don't have as many health issues, was on the show with other people that are more on the heavier set side, saying that it's okay to, and there's no scientific evidence, according to these individuals and these therapists, not doctors, but therapists, there's no evidence that being heavier and having more body fat in your body is actually medically bad for you. Now, Dave, I could be wrong here. I'm pretty sure that the science, even though, that science is conclusive, that science is never always conclusive, but I'm pretty sure that we have some pretty strong evidence and a lot of research that shows that if you have a lot more body mass and body fat, that you are more risk to a lot of diseases, and you have heart failure at a higher rate, you have heart attacks at a higher rate, you have clogged arteries at a higher rate, you have diseases that affect you more because your immune system's suppressed, that you have a lot of issues. I could be wrong there, Dave, but have you heard the same thing?
I've heard and seen the same thing.
Okay.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. All right. And again, live your life, do your thing. I don't really care. I want to be healthy. I want to encourage people to be healthy. That's why we focus on the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement here, because I don't want you to be sick. And as we fight against a healthcare system that wants to keep you sick, we want to try and do something different about that. At the same time, if you feel better about it, do your thing. I don't really care. Where I draw the line is you shouldn't make that life choice of being unhealthy and then advocate for universal health care to be like, I have a bunch of health issues and can't afford it. Like, that's kind of on you. Consequence and consequence of actions. Action, reaction, cause and effect. There's a thing in the universe like that, and you kind of have to live by that. So if you're going to live unhealthily, you know that you live unhealthily, and yes, that's a word we just created on this program, and that you're going to have consequences potentially for that, and that's the risk you're willing to take. That's where we're at. But we have mental health experts. When people come and say, I have an eating addiction, I have depression that forces me to eat, I smoke cigarettes, I do these bad habits, I get addicted to things because I'm struggling with this, we don't embrace it and say it's totally okay, because that's literally what we heard during this conversation.
What I want to say here is I live with autoimmune disorders, I live with chronic illness, and I'm also neurodivergent.
I don't know what that means.
And this is, the body positivity movement has made it so that I can tolerate this life. I can find ways to thrive, even still. But I'm not pretending that this doesn't bother me. And by bother, I mean that it doesn't hurt to carry my weight. I'm willing to concede with you that carrying around extra weight is harder. It is. But it must be done.
It must be done. And she goes on to say that she's uncomfortable and doesn't like working out. She goes on to say that she's uncomfortable and it's what she say, a hard stick. Like she likes the soft carrot and the encouragement, not the hard stick of saying you must be on a regimen, you must have a particular diet, you must go to the gym. And she's like, I just don't like doing that. And it really comes down to the fact that many of them just don't want to be told what to do. And again, you can do whatever you want to, but there's consequences to that. And the victimhood status from Governor Kathy Hochul in New York, saying that I'm a victim because people chose to leave my state because I imposed harsher taxes and regulations on them. That's not fair. They need to come back and pay for the social programs I want. Or to this, I'm, I feel like I'm obese, but I have to accept that in my life because I'm a victim, because I just don't want to live on a diet or a certain regiment. So therefore, I don't want to live my life uncomfortably. We have a serious problem. And
that disease is going to be pretty uncomfortable too.
The disease is pretty uncomfortable as well. You're absolutely right. And we have therapists that are openly embracing and encouraging this behavior because they don't want their patients to be uncomfortable. I think it's a serious social problem.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider.
Wild, man.
You're choosing a company.
That is wild.
Value.
By the way, neurodivergent means people's brains let me try that again. People whose brains function, learn, and process information differently from what is considered typical.
That means
are neurotypical.
We've got you covered on the same reliable networks you.
I don't know. That doesn't really give me any information.
Yeah, like they think differently. Okay, everybody thinks differently. I don't know exactly what that means.
Everybody has a unique way of thinking. That's not really anything wrong.
Yeah, that's
At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely.
I'm looking forward to this.
Mobile.com/reason.
Andy's latest product.
The Hispanic community is radically diverse in the United States. Some would say as unique and diverse as the food they eat.
The diversity of this community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
And now you can enjoy the flavor and diversity that every member of the Hispanic community gets to enjoy every single day. Jill Biden's very all-new breakfast taco special from the Voice of Reason.
Hola amigos, I'm Adan, your Jill Biden breakfast taco. Now you too can enjoy the unique, diverse flavors of Mexico and Latin American with me.
Adon the breakfast taco has everything a growing boy, girl, undecided, or other may need.
Start off with a thick layer of potato seasoned with fresh and delicate spices of Mexico and cooked to perfection.
The potatoes show not only are we tough on the outside, but soft and lovable on the inside.
Next, enjoy the 2 large huevos. No breakfast taco is complete without our famous huevos. They are there for all to enjoy.
What comes next in the delicacies is the true sign of diversity and uniqueness in the culture, as there are just too many options.
Chicken, carne asada, chorizo, pork, bacon, vegetarian, the choices are endless. We have a flavor for everyone, but you won't know if you like it until you try it, and we like it all.
Finally, your Jill Biden Adon Breakfast Taco is always personalized for you with the special, unique, and diverse toppings only found in the ever-expanding diverse culture of Latin America.
Top me off with your favorite great tasting cheese, sour cream, or gravy. But don't forget, what sets your breakfast taco apart from any other breakfast taco is a little spice.
Forget the salsa from the supermarket. It's time to do the real spicy direct from Mexico with the slices of jalapeno, habanero, or red chilies. Plus top all off with your favorite Valentina or Tapatio.
Show off your unique diversity with your very own Jill Biden Breakfast Burrito from the Voice of Reason.
Order now and multiply your diversity with 2 Jill Biden Breakfast Tacos, all for the price of 1.
It's the Voice of Reason's Jill Biden Breakfast Taco. Are you diverse enough? Coming to a restaurant near you.
Ándale, ándale.
Andy's latest product. Find more products from the Voice of Reason online at HooserReason.com.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Are you still battling COVID-19? Wanting to find ways to limit your exposure to viruses that kill off humanity?
Oh, the humanity.
Now you can. It's time for you to get the all-new Voice of Reason product, the CDC Rona Fan. The CDC Rona Fan is not like your everyday ordinary fan. The CDC Rona Fan is the latest in technology that uses the unique and original purification process called the breath of Fauci. And it's simple to use.
Oh my gosh, I just got my CDC Rona Fan and it's perfect. I can feel the COVID particles disintegrating out of the air in my home. And even though it's wintertime, I just open my window wide open, I'll slide my CDC Rona Fan right in, crank it up to full blast, and now I can have as many people over for the holidays as I want. And I'll never have to worry about transferring the virus to anybody. Just feeling the chill in the air, I know now that I'll never get sick again. Thanks, Rona Fan.
The CDC Rona Fan kills the Ronavirus at the same rate of any immunity your body can build. And it comes in all shapes and sizes to best fit your preferred personal identity and housing decor.
My mommy and daddy got the Fauci fan yesterday. They opened up all the windows of the house and put the fan in every one of them. They said it would make me nice and healthy. I can't feel my toes because it's so cold now, but they told me now that the Donald Trump virus won't kill me. They must be right when they tell me to listen to the government and do everything that they tell me to.
Order now and for a limited time, get an additional CDC Rona Fan half off. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you'll also receive the CDC-approved Fauci bobblehead. Scare off deadly viruses just by placing your Fauci totem in each room. Battle the Rona with freedom and Fauci-controlled options with your Voice of Reason CDC Rona Fan.
When reason meets radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into it. Great to have you here for your weekend edition of the Voice of Reason. A lot of things going on this weekend, and one topic we like to focus on quite a bit on the program is, of course, higher education. Are we working better to change the education system? We have the Trump administration looking to end DEI policy in K through 12 and in higher education, and for some reason, the higher education system wants to desperately cling on to their DEI, their identity politics, their victimization status. And I get it, because that's where the activists are. And a lot of them are actually professors and the leaders and the ones that are educating the youth of America. We've seen it, and we have to prepare our kids going into that if that's the direction that they choose to go. Although, the big question is does that degree actually matter as much as what it used to? Not only with the fact that more students than ever before have these degrees, so it's still a very competitive market once you get outside of college, but the price of it, the courses that you actually have to take in order for you to get your degree, which is absolutely insane. In my opinion, we have watered down K through 12 so much that we now focus all the attention on higher education. So you go through 12 years of schooling as a kid growing up, paid for by bonds and by your taxpayer money and property taxes in your community, all of that to get a basic bare minimum education, and then they're like, well, you got to go to higher ed, and then you can take the rest of the courses. When I went and I majored in political science, I had to take courses of, well, you need to take another English class over here. Well, you need to take a class on the history of musical instruments over there. Well, you need to take an archaeological class and learn about dinosaurs and the different ages of history. And I'm sorry, but that's nothing to do with politics. Doesn't make any sense to me. Why are we allowing that to happen? That's kind of weird to me, and I think that needs to be a major reform, that if you go to college, you take those classes specifically for your degree, period, end of story. And if you're not up to that level, you shouldn't qualify to go to college, and you should be staying in the K through 12 system until you're ready to meet those bare minimum standards to where you don't have to take those classes before you even get there. That's kind of wild, but it's been taken to another level. What do I mean by that? That's where we go to our next guest here on the program.
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
As we look at different higher education systems across the nation, there are some that are still desperately clinging on to that DEI, that identity politics, and even taking it to a whole new level to where there are some honors courses at certain schools to where in order to graduate as the honors student, you have to take some pretty wild classes. What the heck's going on? Happy to have on the program as he is with the Goldwater Institute. He's the director of higher education at the Goldwater Institute with their latest piece known as the Desert Brain Drain. What the heck is going on with DEI on that front? Happy to have on here Mr. Tim Minella. Tim, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Andy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you betcha. Always great to chat with you and talk about some of this. It is the big question with all the money that we spend on higher education, everything that we do to get that college degree, that certification, that we have studied the books well in higher ed. Is the quality still there, and is that certification really worth it in today's age anymore?
So in many cases, I think that's very questionable, unfortunately. And what we see here in this report is we look at the honors colleges at Arizona Public Universities, Arizona State and University of Arizona. And these are programs, the honors colleges, that are supposed to supplement the education, enhance the education of the most talented students at those institutions. And what we see here is they are using required courses in order to achieve honors designation. They're using required courses to basically force students into courses that are chock full of DEI, identity politics, and social justice indoctrination. And this is not, as you indicate, this is not really a valuable educational experience. This looks more like indoctrination in a very narrow ideology. And so anyone who has responsibility for these institutions needs to take a careful look at what actually is being taught, especially in these required courses.
Yeah. Before we talk about the actual curriculum and some of the classes that you guys found, why do you think in general that higher education is so desperately clinging on to the idea of identity politics, the LGBTQ, the DEI movement? I mean, I know they're always progressive. They've always been progressive. I think they're always going to be progressive because, you know, that's where the elite scholars try to brainwash the next generation. But specifically for the DEI movement and the identity politics and that victimization, why do they cling on to that so desperately, even to the point of potentially losing funding from the Trump administration?
Yeah, I think the short answer is that many people in higher education are true believers in this ideology. They believe that this is how they make the world a better place. And it is their right to believe that. It's their right to advocate for that agenda as a private citizen. But they should not be hijacking a public university, especially an honors program, to force this agenda on the rest of the students and the rest of the institution.
Yeah.
And that's what we see radical faculty doing at the Honors College in particular.
And that's so wild. Not only just the general populace at the education system, but the honor students, the ones that are supposed to be the brightest minds there, that they're trying to brainwash them. Additionally, to say you're going to be part of our elite program. In general, should we be reforming higher education on the courses that we take to where we don't really need to be taking the courses that don't have anything to do with our degrees?
Yeah, well, I agree with you that there should be much more transparency in terms of what the content is in courses, especially in public universities.
Yeah.
So if there are requirements, so I think it's, it's legitimate that a school says, we want you to have a sense of the history of our country. We want you to have a sense of the important institutions like the Constitution and federalism that are important elements of our republic. That's completely legitimate. But what we need in addition to that is if you say that there are a list of courses that fulfill these particular requirements for history or civics or whatever, there needs to be transparency in terms of what is actually in the particular course that I am signing up for as a student.
Right.
What we see in the honors example is that a large majority of these syllabi for these required courses in honors were hidden from students prior to them signing up for it. Students would have had no idea that their course, the section that they're signing up for, is basically entirely about identity politics, DEI, and social justice.
Yeah.
And so that's an important element here that we're advocating for is greater transparency.
Tim, one of the craziest findings you guys had in this report was one of the DEI courses for honor students, again, by the way, which is Eating the Globe, the Diverse, Weird, and Queer Food Politics. Tim, I was not aware that food can be queer.
So as far as I can tell, queer food politics refers to the use of serving people food within queer and LGBTQ activism. And that is the sort of required niche topic that students are going to get if they sign up for this particular section of the honors seminar at the University of Arizona Honors College. So taking a course, your listeners should think about this. Taking a course on queer food politics could be the difference between someone graduating as a regular student and someone graduating with honors at the University of Arizona.
Yeah, and I think it leads to a conversation where we need to have a lot more transparency, a lot more openness about exactly what's being taught, what classes are being mandated for us to choose this, especially for those that are going into an honors degree, which is kind of wild. Tim, doing your research and finding that they had this class in general, were you able to figure out what the curriculum actually looks like? I'm kind of curious on what queer food politics actually looks like, because it sounds like they might be dipping into the wine a little bit extra when they're trying to bake some food and talking about identity politics and being a victim of society.
So what I can tell you is the instructor that teaches that particular course, the queer food politics course, describes herself as an education activist. And she says that she researches and writes about education and social changes, decolonial pedagogies, affect theory, gender politics, and activism in global social movements. So I think just that description on its own shows you the kind of rigorous academic content, and I say that sarcastically,
yes,
that you will get in a course like this.
Absolutely insane.
And these are the kinds of instructors that, again, we're saying are qualified to teach honors.
Yeah.
It's really something.
It's very something indeed. We're talking with Tim Minnelli. He is the Director for Higher Education for the Goldwater Institute. You can find this latest piece here, the Desert Brain Drain, with their latest research at goldwaterinstitute.org, and you can find the reading. It is a strange world indeed. Tim, do you think this is one of the many reasons, obviously there's plenty of them out there, but one of the reasons why we're seeing it now, a major increase in interest for trade schools to go in and get a certification in something, get out into the workforce, as opposed to going through these types of programs and feeling really special about being a graduate in college with honors?
So I think you're right about that. And what I would also say, though, is I don't see this changing very quickly. The idea, for instance, that if you want to teach in a public school, that you're going to have a college degree. And for other professions, I don't see that changing quickly either. So what I would say is I think you're absolutely right that people should consider whether their money is well spent in going to college, given the ridiculous curricula that we see across the country, especially at public universities.
Yeah.
But I would also say that if you care about the future of this country, you can't just ignore what's happening here and sort of leave the universities to their own devices. We need to pass thoughtful here that restores these institutions to their core purpose of educating students and preparing them for citizenship.
Right.
And we can't just leave them to the side, even though that we might be tempted to do that.
Well, that's the whole point of education, is to prepare you for the real world, both for K through 12 and for higher education, to prepare you on what you're supposed to be doing. Tim, hang on the line. We got to take a break. We got lots more coming up here for the Voice of Reason's Weekend Edition. Stay right here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have two numbers and two networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. One phone, two numbers, and two networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast, become your own Voice of Reason, and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
For more information, go to takeonesmallstep.com. Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more. We have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with The Voice of Reason.
Talk radio for the next generation. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back to the program. Fascinating conversation. My mind's still blown trying to wrap my head around what a queer food politics course looks like in higher education. I'm not quite sure exactly what that looks like. We're hanging out right now with Tim Manella. He is the Director of Higher Education for the Goldwater Institute, goldwaterinstitute.org, if you want to check out their information with this latest piece that they have, the Desert Brain Drain. Tim, let's talk about the Trump administration for a moment. They've wanted to eradicate DEI and even to the point of threatening to cut off federal funding if universities continue to embrace this policy. So my question to you is that working? And for courses like a queer food politics course, is that under the scope of the federal administration right now when saying, hey, we're not going to give you federal funding for programs like this?
So the Trump administration has taken, many good steps to root out and to prosecute racial discrimination and discrimination based on sex. All those are positive developments. But what I would say is the Trump administration has been pretty clear, pretty consistent in saying that we are not going to provide oversight over the curriculum at universities and public universities as well.
Yeah.
And that is the correct position because education has always been the primary oversight over education has always been the state government.
Yes.
And so we need to pass thoughtful state policy here. And very briefly, the Goldwater Institute has developed a number of important reforms on this subject, one of which, called the Freedom from Indoctrination Act, gets rid of mandatory DEI in required courses, very important. We also recently released a second policy called the American Higher Education Restoration Act, which goes after some of the ridiculous research that taxpayers are on the hook for because they pay the salaries of scholars and researchers who teach at public universities.
Yeah.
And so that instructor that is a so-called calls herself an education activist and talks about researching queer food politics, taxpayers shouldn't be automatically on the hook for her particular niche projects.
Right.
And our new reform sort of gets at that, brings some accountability and transparency to that process.
Yeah. Well, God bless you for it. And I think the first step is knowledge and knowing about what the heck's going on so we can fix it. We've started to see that movement with parents rising up with the K through 12 and, the public education system on that front. So now we can start focusing on this higher education. And you're right, curriculum needs to be done at the statewide and the local levels, not at the federal government mandating that one. So we just need to expose this. And that's what you guys are doing. So that way we can make sure that if we are going to university, they don't have a queer food politics course that just blows my mind. It is Tim Manella, Director of Higher Education with the Goldwater Institute. Find everything there at goldwaterinstitute.org. Last question for you. Outside of exposing this and what you guys are working on with your American Higher Education Restoration Act, as parents, what can we do? Is it just choosing what the right university is? Is it trying to run for school boards and be part of these boards for higher education? Or is it even going to the point of where the education is coming from for the educators and when they're getting their teaching certifications, becoming professors, to make sure that they don't be activists and that they're there just to actually give information and teach our young generation about what they're actually supposed to be learning and not trying to brainwash them as being a quote-unquote activist that some of them, as you said, are being actually self-described that way.
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned there are important steps that we can take. For parents, I think it's important to really empower your student to say that, if you've got a requirement for a course you've got to take, take a look at the professors that are teaching that course.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have access to a syllabus before you sign up, go look up the professor that you're going to take the course from. It's not that difficult to figure out, what that professor is all about just by Googling him or her.
Right.
And I think just that step would be important to get the best education you possibly can from these institutions.
Yeah. It's a work in progress. We got to move in the right direction here, but this is insane how much they've tried to slip behind this that we're not aware of, and brainwashing our children, even just to get that status of saying that you're graduating with honors at certain universities. Tim, we appreciate the time very much, my friend. Great conversation. Keep up the fight. Keep exposing this ridiculousness, and let's get you back on. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you very much, Andy. Hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, you betcha. Again, Tim Manella, appreciate him very much. Director of Higher Education for the Goldwater Institute. It ties right in with the mental health issue I think that we're seeing in society, and even the education of the quote-unquote psychiatrists and the therapists that are in society that are embracing this type of ideology as activists and even harming people that are coming to them seeking help, harming them even more than helping them, in my opinion. And we have a serious pandemic that is going under the radar that I think we need to expose even further. But we will have to do it at a different time because we are out of time right here for the program for this hour. Until then, be your own voice of reason, be that catalyst for change. We'll see you on the radio soon. Bye.